Hi there, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be talking about, as a Warframe player, first impressions of the First Descendant. Been playing about a week. It came out last week. Um, and I guess more importantly, kind of a reality check in terms of what to expect from this game. I've seen the forums, seen posts and discords, other YouTube videos and whatnot. And the fact is, it's a Korean MMO, and it's an Exxon game. Like, you got to know what you're getting into. So let's go over the first impressions. I have been taking my sweet time with this. You don't want to waste the first time a game comes out with power farming to the end. Okay? One of the most recent things that I can think of in terms of like my best genuine gaming experience was the first time Lost Ark came out. For that first like 2 month period before the bots became an issue, it was genuinely nice just playing the game. There were a ton of people on. Nobody had been chased off by the RNG. Everybody was new. There were no real meta builds. And with this, part of the reason why I wanted to make it is because I'm starting to see like builds being completed and claiming like their ultimate. Now, obviously, it's part of the YouTube game, but the fact is listen, this is an Exxon game. This shit's gonna be expensive or time consuming. Pick one, right? Obviously, getting to later game content can make things easier, but it's just my advice up front and as simple as possible is enjoy the game. I am taking this so slow compared to other people. I haven't even finished the quest yet. I'm watching all the cutscenes, I'm reading all the dialogue. I'm talking with people in Discord who are like way further ahead of me. They're already on to hard mode. Um, I'm past Pyromancer, and I'm about to get to the point where I need to do the next intercept. And obviously, it's easier than Pyro, because Pyro, I think it was said best, where Pyromancer is the first one where it's really a gear check. If you rushed to just complete the quest line and burn through it, Pyromancer really is kind of the first intercept where it's like, no, 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 you actually need to know what to do. Like, there's some basic mechanics. If you've played like Lost Ark, for example, World of Warcraft or anything like that, like, obviously don't stand in the stuff that sets you on fire. And that's pretty simple, but in action, things can bump into you, right? Like, you can get surprised. Um, but obviously the biggest thing is Pyromancers. If you're coming up and leveling, Pyromancer is kind of the first gear check. You have to have started at least consciously building against the intercept boss. So you have to have a cold build. You need heat attribute resist. You kind of need this stuff. Obviously, if you're playing what, like Glay or something like that, it's a little bit easier because of the fact that she has like unlimited ammo on one of her abilities and like gets bonus attack power. Some descendants just make things easier. But okay, so first impressions. It's a huge improvement. This is a 1.0 release from a studio that has never done a third-person shooter. It's kind of over the shoulder. This is very, very clearly what they were trying to do is like the best of both worlds from Warframe and Destiny 2. Even the icons are similar. Let's not get it twisted. They made this game as palatable as possible for people from those two games to come over to this one. The biggest thing going is that, and they've even said that one of the biggest things about Warframe is how they listen to the community, which, as much as Warframe gets wrong, how they treat the community as a whole compared to other places, that is one of their uh, big pluses, if you will. So they're taking hints from that. There were also some things that they've already like adjusted based on community feedback. Like the color thing is no longer RNG based, and you can buy them, which is another thing altogether. But the fact that they listened so quickly is kind of hilarious. Especially dealing with, like, as me, as somebody that plays Warframe a bunch and a little bit of Destiny, D2. The fact that they basically put out a patch within like a week is kind of hilarious to me. So obviously they're not going to let a new game fail, so they're going to be working quick. But considering the fact that they were having issues with people buying stuff, with connection issues, people not being able to log on, I got hit with all of those. And here we are a week later, and the connection drops occasionally, but the big stuff is fixed. And they've had time to work on community feedback. So clearly they're motivated. More motivated than I've seen out of Nexon for a while. And I'll get more onto the whole Nexon thing. So my first advice in terms of feedback is don't ruin the experience of playing this game and learning on your own by listening to tips and tricks. Pay attention when you play. It's pretty easy to figure out what's going on. Hell, there's even a simulacrum. Like, how much clearer can... It's basically like the developer checked out the forums for Warframe and Destiny 2 and made a compilation of all the DE please stuff on the forums that they obviously didn't listen to, and kind of put it into this game. Like, one of the issues is the energy reactor, right? There was that post that blew up on the First Descendants where it was like, oh, it's 20 times more expensive than Warframe. Listen, if you have a weapon that's really, really good, the capacity carries over. So I don't know what to say with that. Like, if you're somebody that has like 15 fucking Brahmas, you have to potato all of those. So if you want, like, say I have a ton of Archiplasmors, I had to potato each of those weapons. This game appears to not make you. So it's more expensive, but they're more permanent. Obviously, slots was an issue. It looks like they did a bump. But the fact is that this is a Korean MMO. You have to think Maple Story drop rates and Maple Story grinding. Listen, Warframe is a very grindy game when you look at overall. But the fact is that the stuff that we grind for in Warframe, it's the amount of stuff that we're grinding for that makes Warframe grindy. But grinding for a specific thing isn't hard at all in Warframe. Unless it's like a couple of mods that drop, like, say, from Railjack, for example. Or like Harrow parts, right? Where it can drag out for a long time. Like, was it Harrow Systems? I forget which one it is. I don't think it's Harrow Chassis. But Harrow Systems, or it's Neuroptics. Drops from Railjack, and it's like on a rotation C. So it takes a long time. If you mentally think about this stuff in terms of like most of the important things being rotation C exclusive drops, the grind kind of matches up. And with the like the rare parts for like descendants or like weapons, it's less than Warframe by about half. But the issue is that even when you're in a group, you're essentially solo grinding relics, like in Warframe, because everybody's used to running stuff rad and running in a group, right? Like everybody knows recruit chat. You're sitting there spamming, looking for rad, fill in the blank. You're not dealing with that drop rate. Unless you rad, or not rad, but unless you use the whatever it is in this, which is a rare drop. It's like running the relic in Warframe solo. That's the issue. So you're not getting the 4-man boost. Maybe they'll fix that and everybody will stop caring. So you get 4 chances each time you run it, which would, I doubt Nexon would listen to this, but if you could add that to where everybody in a group, specifically a 4-man, everybody can run a specific thing that they want to farm. I'm drawing a blank on what it's actually called. The amorphous, whatever it is. That would help out a lot on the farm. Like, you don't even have to adjust the drop rates. Just being able to run 4 identical ones and to be able to share the results. But the fact is, the way they do it is when you kill an intercept boss, you have to go over to the thing. And you're dealing with solo drop rates that you can't radiant. Normally, right? Like, you can't radiant and then do a rad share. You can only do it on one, and the thing that allows you to do it is a low drop rate. So, that's part of the issue. But even then, it's perfectly in line with Korean MMO grinding. Like dealing with something that's a 0.5% or a 1% drop chance. So you're going to have to grind for one thing for like a week. So this is to be expected. It's not unheard of. And for some people, like, this is my review, but I came into this knowing it was Nexon. Like, when I played, the thing that put me off of, like, Maple Story 2, which is a game that I quit, is because of the drop rates. Like, I wasn't disillusioned when I came into this game. Like, I knew it was a Nexon game. But the fact is they didn't time gate stuff like they did in Maple Story 2. Like, progression was locked behind time gates that had low drop chances. This game isn't. Like, the things you pop, the amorphous matter or whatever it is, you can farm as much as you want. It's a drop chance also, but you can, when you start getting kitted out, and you start getting upgrades, and your weapons start getting stronger, you start speed running stuff naturally. Like, say, running like the little mini raids. I take Bunny and burn through them. You like 2-3 shot the guy at the end, and I get a drop, and it takes like 3 minutes. So the fact is that it's the same as Warframe in how you go about farming stuff, essentially. But instead of having like 1 or 2 things that are super rare, and also have, like in Warframe, and also having those things be unimpactful, the issue is that the things with low drop rates are generally the better things. So I came into that assuming that was the case, and I've had a better experience for it than I've heard out of some people. Some people think the game's boring. Well, with Warframe, you're still grinding for months at a time, but you get 100, 200, 300 little checkpoints where you feel like you're doing progress. This game doesn't reward you like that. Like, the issue that people were having with Pyro, you had to build correctly, and you didn't even require a min-maxed build. It's just you couldn't run it. Listen, I'm going to vent for a second. My worst run against Pyro was when I was on Ajax and I grouped with 3 bunnies and they all ran in. Literally, the intercept lasted 2 minutes. Okay. Actually, I don't even think it lasted that. We spawned in, they all ran in, and one went down. And obviously, I'm on Ajax, so I'm tanky, right? One went in, one went down instantly. The other one went over and went down. The other one went over and tried to resurrect them, right? Like bring them, pick them back up. The one that went down revived or said abandoned or not abandoned, but hit X to revive on themselves. So they respawned. That cost a death counter. The other one didn't get out in time and burned to death. And she hit a revive on herself, so she respawned. That cost a death counter. The third one got hit by some like random thing, got one shot, and I ran over to pick them up, so like to resurrect them. And the other two, for whatever reason, ran over toward me. And of course, if you're fighting an intercept boss and everybody groups into a tiny little bubble, what's the boss gonna do? Oh, hey, there's everybody. And he turned over and burned the piss out of all 3 of them. Or the one that I was trying to pick up was already down, but the other 2 died again. And the last one left, and that was the end of the intercept. Like, the game can't teach you much harder. Like, it's trying to be fair. This game isn't brain dead like Warframe. Like, stuff is going to die super quick if you build correctly, but you have to... It's a reward for building correctly. It doesn't make you min-max. Obviously, min-maxing is super enjoyable. But this isn't Warframe. You can't completely turn your brain off. So, it's a different animal. I enjoy it. Some people don't like the grind. You should be talking to people. Like, don't treat everybody like robots. This is an older school take on the Warframe Destiny 2 style MMO light. And for me, it's enjoyable. I look at the clan and alliance list, everybody in Discord, I'm seeing lots of First Descendants. Maybe there'll be a clan over here also. But if you go in thinking it's going to be Warframe, I can't really speak on Destiny 2, but like, if you come over here thinking it's going to be Warframe and you're just going to burn through everything and there's going to be a Kuva weapon or a Tenet weapon or some Incarnon that allows you to turn your brain off, I haven't run into it. The biggest power scaling in the game right now, as far as I can see, is literally just levels. You can take a level 1 weapon, boost it up to level 1, or I'm at like level 70, 80 right now. And there's no way you can mod to make up the damage difference. To make a level 1 weapon more powerful than a level 70, 80. So, people are getting culture shocked by it. The game's not shit. It's working as intended. I can see a lot of people complaining because they want it to behave like Warframe. And this is something different. If you want it to behave like Warframe, there's a solution to that. And it's, to be frank, it's go play Warframe. You have to give this a fair shake. There are massive issues, and yes, this is an Exxon game. I am fully expecting them to try to make this work, and if it's not getting the traction that they want, this shit getting pulled in like 6 months. But we'll see how it goes. You know, they've pulled games in less than 6 months. But they've already got a roadmap, and they're gonna be doing an ultimate frame, or an ultimate Descendant, like what they say, like every 3 months or something like that. Yeah, this isn't Warframe. This isn't Warframe. And they just released the game, and they're already talking about the next update, and they're going to be doing seasons on top of it, and that's probably where the real content will be. Depending on how they do it, I'm pretty interested to see how it's going to happen, because most of the time with seasons, like Diablo 3, for example, the seasons basically mean you have to start a new character. So how are the seasons going to work in this? I want to see what they do at least. At least do the first two seasons. But okay, let's go over more review stuff. I have been taking my sweet ass time with it. I just said before, I'm not even done with the quest. I've just been enjoying running missions. Pick up and play with people that I know that are trying to play it. I've played with a couple people from the clan. Um, and it's just, have a good time. We've done some leveling, gotten some weapons ranked up. Obviously, our tanky boy here is level 40. You can see it in the top right. And I've just been having a good time running the missions. You can only play a game the first time once. Why would I burn through it? That's the thing that you're supposed to be getting attached to. Listen to the quest lines, making acquaintances, friends that might turn into friends later. Get a full friends list, play with groups. That's what you're supposed to be doing right now. Don't chase the end game. And stop wailing for shit. Like, I understand the reactors or whatever they're called here are super expensive. You gotta understand, if you wanted to beeline from start to finish into the end of hard mode, what would it take you honestly if you sat down with a 4-man and tried to beeline to the end of the game? Somebody's already beaten the final instance, right? Like, somebody's already beat the hardest boss or the hardest intercept in the game. If I read the congratulatory post correctly, what else do they have to do? After 3 days, I was seeing people with MR27 already. What else do you have to do now? Like, that is a lot of game time. Especially with how long shit takes to level in this game. That is a lot. You basically had to sit in one spot and level. Like, enjoy the game. They're not enjoying the game. They're treating it as like they're going to die if they don't get things done quickly. And then what's going to happen? They're going to go back to the same game, and everybody's complaining about the RNG. But guess what? They're going to finish the game. You should be farming mods. Do multiple runs of an instance. Like, or like an intercept or something like that. Run multiple, do it 2 or 3 times once you get it. Like, when I beat Pyromaniac, I adjusted my build, learned what I needed to do, because I was running it as a pub, because this is an MMO, even though it's sort of like an MMO light. This is an MMO. Do it 2 or 3 times, because those drops, the reactors and the equipment, have set bonuses, and those help you out a shit ton. So it's one of those things where it's like, you got to realize what the game is, and we can cover some basics of sure, but it's just for those that are really here for my Warframe content. I'm going to be honest, I am not sure how comfortable I am talking about builds, where right now the assumption is that you've had to spend so much money. If it was like $1 or $2 on those reactors, that would be fine. But the reactors are as expensive as they are, and if I'm gonna recommend a build, at most it would be a reactor free one. Maybe crystallizing catalyst, maybe 2 or 3, right? That wouldn't be bad. Those are easy to farm, but the reactors, you can farm them. They take time, and they're a bit of a pain in the ass, but more importantly, you can get good at it. But for people right now, the assumption is that you're spending money. it's kind of like it's not unjustified. Like that is a safe assumption. But if you see somebody that's posting YouTube videos, and let's see, the game's out for 5 days. What, it came out on the second, so 6 days. If they spawned in and immediately wanted and started farming reactors, they would have 4 reactors, and the fifth one would be cooking. And if that person has 7 builds, they've dropped cash. It doesn't feel realistic, and they like some streamers had like some people like hyper fixating on like one specific frame or descendant, and it was a combination of them getting carried, but like I've seen streamers who are like hard farming this game that it's going to end up meaning like they're obviously going to focus on late game content because that's where their edge is, like especially in the Warframe sphere. But the fact is like if somebody were to tell me 50% of the player base hasn't killed Pyromaniac, I would believe it. Especially the way the game gates content. Like, you have to beat that guy to go to the next area. So if you're having trouble with like a drop on something, especially like the heat attribute resist mod, or you haven't figured out where your Kuiper farm is yet, or like an efficient way, like getting to that guy and then getting hit with this is that's just to survive, right? And then you need to upgrade the mods on your weapon. You can get a bit of a reality check, right? Or you over invested in a specific mod. I've seen that. That sort of stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to make content for this, just speaking, aloud. Because it's just a really well functioning build is going to be a sizable investment. And it seems like as of right now, if a descendant, I'm still in Warframe mentally. If a descendant has an ultimate version, with the exception of Bunny, because they basically throw the descendant at you. Like, she's got like what, a 1 minute build time or something like that. Like, it was stupid low. Maybe put some upgrades into Bunny, because she's so powerful through the regular like the quest line, like the base area, the normal mode. But like I've heard how the bunnies, once they get to hard mode, they start getting one shot. Like, I'm in the second to the last area right now, and I forgot to equip the defense mod. Came around a corner, got one shot. It's fine. I didn't build correctly, but the game punishes you for it. There's no shield gating in this. You have to be able to tank that shot. If it's going to connect, you got to be able to take it. There's no shield gating. They didn't dumb the game down. And hopefully they don't. Uh-oh. I just hit my AFK timer. So, the fact is that the game is pretty good. I enjoyed it. I expected this. Or I was appropriately attuned to the beast I was going to be dealing with. And I think some of the reasons why people don't like it is because it's not like Warframe, where you just get piles of shit thrown at you. But the game seems really good so far. It's got... I enjoy the enemies. You can't complain that they're dumb, because we play Warframe. The enemy AI is garbage. Like, that is an 11-year-old AI. The enemy gets strong in this game, and you can figure out where the damage is coming from, because each enemy is so much stronger compared to Warframe, where it might be like 20 to 30 enemies. I like the fact that the high priority targets are very obvious. It's not like you're dealing with an aura like in Warframe. You can very clearly see most of the debuffs and buffs on enemies. Like the one that does like the damage immunity. I'll take that over the arbitration drones. The only thing that makes arbitration drones um, easy to kill, and even then, our arbitration drones have shield gating, or a shield gating like effect. But with this, there's the enemy where it puts like the white shield on them. Um, yeah, the orbs in this game on the mini bosses are fucking annoying. But you can just whittle down several of them. You can whittle them all down until they're like one or two shots, and then you pop all three at the same time. Like that's how you deal with that. Or use an AoE weapon, right? Especially the Glay users, pop on like a rocket launcher or something, and just burn those things down all at the same time, right? But it's been pretty enjoyable. Um, Talking about the story, it was enjoyable, but let's not kid ourselves. It was kind of mid. If somebody were to tell me that this was an AI generated storyline, I would believe them. Just honestly, if somebody were to tell me this was an AI generated storyline, I would fucking believe it. But it was okay. It was good, not great. Uh, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to fix the performance issues, because the issue is how big the damn maps are in terms of how much you have to view, right? Like, you can see some space. Like, obviously, with Warframe, we've got the open areas. But the fact is that this stuff looks to be pretty rendered. Like, maybe this is the engine, right? Maybe this is the engine doing all of this. But it doesn't look fuzzy like in Warframe. And this is with the view distance at low. Maybe it doesn't affect the city, right? But the engine looks great. And this is with low settings, by the way. So the fact is, the game looks great, but how good the game is, how good the game is, should be predicated, or judging how good the game is should be predicated on gameplay and content, and not really how good it looks. Like, obviously, this is the new engine. It looks great. It sort of has the, I don't know how to describe it. It has the Unreal 5 genericness to how shit looks. Like, all of the games that come out of this engine just sort of have the same look to them. Maybe it's something to do with the lighting or the textures or whatever it is, but it just sort of has that Unreal 5 look to it, where it's just very even. Like, even when you look at the red, right? The red doesn't pop. It's very uniformly faded. I don't know. Maybe it's the engine or whatever engine it is, but I've noticed this with Unreal 5 engines, and I think that's what this is running on. Um, so design wise, you can tell very clearly what they spent their time on. Okay, and listen, we're all adults here. They spent a shit ton of work on the fucking characters, right? We know what we're talking about here. The characters all look crazy good. But like you can go to other parts, like other areas, like say this gun for example. It, this is clearly the same piece of concrete that they just shoved in the wall. And this is the same thing over here, right? Like it's symmetric. These are clearly copies of these bigger ones. They just changed the size of them. And it's not even like it's even offset, right? Like you can see what they took time on. So the fact is that if they're optimizing the game and if the characters look good, I am okay with the environment looking a little worse if, and I mean this with a big if it means it massively ups production and content. Because let me tell you, that's one of the issues, like it or not, that is one of the issues that Warframe has. Is they spend so much resources creating good looking environments that are dense with shit that I then run through at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I don't care. With all the effects that Warframe has, you're spending time and money and resources making something look good that I'm either going to be sprinting through or there are going to be so many effects on the goddamn screen I can't see it anyway. It's not where you need to be production wise. If in this game their way of balancing that out is make the characters look fucking awesome and then just shit out content that's like a 4 out of 5, but we're getting an update every 2 months, I would like to see it so I can see if it's worth it. Super quick updates. Right? Like Lost Ark was kind of like that, where like once a month, once every other month there was some new thing to do. I'll take that if it means, oh, we have shit that looks like it was just put inside of a mountain, like up here. If this means they don't custom, Orokin and Trotty, Zeraman custom make every fucking texture. But if they do this, and it means we get content way more, and there's always something to do in the damn game, listen, I'm going to take that deal. Or at least I'm going to be interested in seeing what that looks like. But the characters stay super high quality. I'd like to see it before I judge. Okay? So this is where they definitely learned their lesson, or at least they were taking notes on Warframe. Listen, the Entrati Labs look astoundingly good. And you might look at it once or twice, but let me tell you, you don't fucking care 2 months later, if not before then. It's just another tile to run through. So if this game gets it and goes, hey, we're going to make everything, like, we'll clean some stuff up so it looks a little better, but listen, just to be honest, at most this game's going to look visually 6 out of 10, but we're just going to overproduce on content. Yeah, let me see what you got, dude. I want to see if the trade was worth it. If there's new intercepts, there's new mini bosses, there's new raids coming out, they refurbish the raids on like some ridiculous cycle. Yeah, let me see what you got, dude. I want to see it. So, the game's good for what it is, but don't let comparison be the thief of joy. I have had fun, genuinely, as a 37-year-old. I have enjoyed playing this game. But it's because I came into the game when I found something that was very similar to Warframe or Destiny. And I've played both of them. I don't even think I have 1,000 hours in Destiny. But in Warframe, God, I have way more than that. I noticed the comparison and appreciated it because they didn't outright steal anything. But they clearly were paying attention to Warframe's community on things that Warframe wasn't even paying attention to. Okay? Like, say, for example, the laboratory, which is the equivalent to the simulacrum, Out of the box, you can spawn max level enemies. You can't do that now in Warframe. And Warframe's official position is they don't want to make trivialize the game. They want you to experiment in mission. Let me tell you what that looks like in Warframe. You either do a disruption so you can get into the thousands in less than, 8 hours. But if I used to be a survival runner, I don't do it anymore because it takes too fucking long and I've got a job. But when I would do longer runs, 3, 4, 5 hours, because we were farming resources for the clan, because of the fucking tier that it was, and there were only 2, 3 of us that were farming. Finding out that your build doesn't work 5 to 6 hours into a run because some scaling happened and you didn't notice it until you got there, and your run's cooked, fucking sucks. That is a garbage position, and it's the reason why you can't test it out is because of some quote-unquote principle that they have. That's garbage. This game's like, no, here you go. Yeah, figure that shit out. No, we want you to have fun when you're playing the game, or not have basic, learning how to walk issues. Like, when I would do long runs or, level cap runs with new players, we basically mentally had to not tell the new player that their build was trash. We would give them pointers, but the thing is I don't like faction mods. Okay, well, you got a slash build and you've modded for gas on your Brahma. Okay, obviously that can work, but a 100 munition build on a gas Brahma against the Grineer probably isn't gonna work. And they would be like, no, I saw some video on it. You know what? Take them into the survival so they can see their shit not work. And then they go, I don't understand what happened. Okay, here's how you fix it. You basically just had to let them fuck up and have a throwaway run. And then they'd go fix their build real quick. Or they'd say, no, this doesn't work. I can see what you're talking about. What do I need to do? And then you'd go fix it, and then you'd come back for a second run. So you basically had to have a throwaway run in there. Is the easiest method. Or they would be lacking some rare mod, like a primed mod or something like that, and they wouldn't have the damage, so they'd end up having to survive at the end of a disruption, which isn't that big of a deal. The end of disruption's 20 minutes for the end portion. So the fact is that this game gave you the level 100 enemies as soon as you unlocked the lab. This company is going to come with its own interpretation of how things are done, especially monetarily. Don't as positive as I am about the things that they've done, don't get it wrong. This is still an Exxon game. But the fact is this company, who isn't Warframe, or isn't Digital Extremes, isn't Bungie, is listening to all of the reasonable things that had been ignored or viewed as something they weren't going to do on principle, and they threw it into a free-to-play game and said, here, go have fun. A lot of the multipliers on Frames, or Descendants, I'm so in Warframe mode, on Descendants, a lot of those mods have, built-in multiplicative, characteristics to them. We don't have any of that shit in Warframe, where a mod is multiplicative to the ability that it's applied to and multiplicative within the mod. I can't think of a single thing except for a faction mod where it increases the base damage, which increases the dot dealt, but the dot also gets boosted by the same mod. There are a bunch of ability mods which have 2 stats on it that are multiplicative to each other, and you put them, it's stronger than a faction mod. And there's a bunch of them. We have a mod that gives you crit chance and crit damage on the same mod. And it's impactful enough that, on Bunny, you're gonna run it. You know what I mean? We don't have any of this shit. It's nice. Because they're not worried about power. It's we'll just make stronger enemies. Now, we haven't seen how they nerf stuff in this. But I'm guessing, unless it's really fucking broken, they're probably not going to touch it, especially if it's on an ultimate frame. Because that would piss some people off. That is one of the things, is that unless you're farming those 3% drops, right now I don't think they're going to touch the ultimate frames for months. regardless of how strong they are. Especially Ajax with his fucking jump. That shit's hilarious. You got a really tanky boy, and then he does a double jump, and then you hit that, flying slam, and he jumps down on the ground, and you hit for like 1,000,000 damage. That shit feels good to use. But the fact is that, you know, it's a different philosophy. Take it for what it is. They're going to have some things that are really strong, like everybody should have been farming mods. And, like, Kuiper, or how the hell you pronounce it. So just keep it in mind, this isn't Warframe. They're not going to throw 1,000,000,000 mods at you. They're going to be loot farms. They're going to be loot farms. But it's not going to be the enemy spawn or the spawn density of Warframe. It's going to be a different game. So, running missions, doing little dungeons or whatever the hell you call them, I enjoy them. It's a little repetitive, but you can get good at it, so it feels stimulating, at least for the first week. So we'll see how it is in like a month, 2 months. But they already said they're doing seasons. The pre-season's 2 months. And people are already talking about how bored they are in the game. How the fuck did you get bored with a game like this in a month, and you come from Warframe? How? Like, just nobody remember what it was like to be new in Warframe? Oh, you need an intensify or a continuity on your frame because you don't have one yet? Guess what? That shit's at the other end of the star chart. Right? Like, we were all there. Or like, oh, you need a streamline. Or everybody remembers, at least, I never did it personally, but like I've dealt with people that are trying to do it. They'll see like some YouTuber build. And they're like, oh, I need a prime continuity. Let me get my credit card real quick. And I'll buy a max rank one off like Warframe Market. And I'm telling them, no, you don't need to do that. Like, there are other mods you can use, and a regular continuity works just fucking fine. Like, you stop swiping. You're skipping grind. Barrow is supposed to be a good thing that happens every 2 weeks, but now he's just sort of like, okay, what shit does he have? Because it hasn't been relevant in years for me. Like, it is genuinely a surprise. Like, Prime Dual Rounds, right? We knew it was coming because of the leaks, but just seeing a Prime mod that I didn't own was kind of nice. But obviously, just sitting there, oh, okay, I'll get it. Like, I'll turn some random, Prime parts in. So, just, if you come from Warframe and you've got thousands of hours, relish being a new player. Stop blitzing to fucking endgame. Enjoy being a new player. Wander a little bit. Talk to people. There have been people where it's like I've been chatting with them as I'm running missions. And I'll be like, hey, you seem pretty fun to play with. You want to party up and run some missions? It seems like obviously everybody's trying to get through the quest line, and it's like, I got time for like 4 or 5 missions. You want to party up? Haven't been told no yet. Especially if it's real quick. Couple of missions. Or like, hey, I'm farming this. You guys want to do a couple of repeats on this? Like, I'm trying to get the bunny mod from that I don't even know what the hell it's called. There's some little thing where it's like the double jump one where it does like more electricity damage. And I got into a party or a random mission, and sure enough, there's like 3 bunnies in there because it's the farm for that. Oh, let me prevent the timer. So I was like, hey, listen, like, I got an Ajax, like, I can be kind of beefy. I've got good weapons because I'm coming back to this. I'm later in the game. And I'm like, do you guys want to party up? Because I need this for my bunny. And they were like, cool. So we partied up, and we ran like 6 more times. You gotta be social. The downside, and I hope they fix it. I hope they don't let this happen to this game. Warframe does not have a good social atmosphere in game. Right? Like, it's not World of Warcraft where 80% of the game is grinding and hanging out. Like in Warframe, or not Warframe, World of Warcraft. Sorry, World of Warcraft. You could genuinely make friends. In Warframe, it's harder to make friends. It's also a different generation than millennials and like Gen X, even though there's a couple of us, right? But the issue is I hope they don't drop the ball on this. They mentioned clans, but I'm hoping there's some system that gets put in place where if you have a big friends list, they will try to make sure you phase into people that or phase in on maps on the same layer as people that you play with. If you're on the friends list, right? So you can naturally socialize. I've never seen anybody mention it, but when I was playing this, it was super cool running into somebody because there's only like what 12, 15 people in a zone at one time. Like it's enough for like what 2, 3 groups. If you could phase in and run into people that you have on your friends list, they could just institute it and it wouldn't hurt my feelings in the least bit. Because just the couple of times that I've run into people has been like super cool, and by like the third time you see them, like you're super fucking chatty. I hope they do that. And not try to like, because right now I'm in a paid character with the ultimate skin or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, not running around with the base skin. I know that's what everybody wants, but just being able to play with people that I've seen a couple times ended up being like super fucking cool. And I hope they lead into that. If you have people that you genuinely play with, and obviously get rid of that if you remove them from your friends list. But the same way they try to monetize, I hope they lean into that, especially if people where it's like they notice, oh, this player only plays for like a half hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. But then when these two people get together, they play for like 2 hours. Obviously, it would make sense to them if they sort of put that in the game. Because then you have people playing more. Obviously, they're going to spend some money, or they're going to be more inclined to spend some money. The server or the game will be more populated if you have people that pair up like that. So I hope they lean into that. But I don't know if they're going to listen to this, and I doubt they will. But anyway, the company's been super responsive in typical Nexon fashion. The issue that I have with Nexon is the fact that they will dump a game faster than any other company that I know of. Like, it's absolutely ludicrous to hear about a game that they put 3 years of development into, and it was gone in 6 months. Like, that, imagine being the developer on that shit. That is fucking wild to me. Maple Story 2 ended up being, hopefully, a lot of the lessons from that game came over to this one. Because RNG and time gating, that doesn't make sense. Like, the thing that made me leave Maple Story 2 was there was a first gear check, and it literally was a gear score. You needed to reach a gear score amount. If you could have everything, I think it was like the first robot boss, right? I could beat the robot boss, no issues. I could solo him, I could do it at a party, I could do it with people that sucked. But I didn't have the gear score because the drops had been like the same things. Like I kept getting earrings. And I needed 2 separate items to be over of the next tier. And I kept getting the same items. So every time I would go in, I would do my rounds for the week. And I would get the same items. When all I needed was like a body part, or I needed like, was it like a helmet? Or like a weapon or something like that. Like I needed one other thing. And I wasn't getting it. And eventually I had to go onto the market and buy like a cheap one so I could just get over the cap once the market opened up. And I'm hoping they do a market in here. It's probably going to be the weapons. Oh, talking about one of the things that like I really like. Not that. Here we go. Bunny's not leveled yet. But it's probably going to be weapons with these rolls. I didn't notice it. I thought the rolls, because I obviously didn't mess around with that little station at the beginning. But I did notice the rolls pretty quickly. Obviously, like it's hard to miss them. But it didn't register with me that you can upgrade the weapon, and you can, if you get a god roll or like a really really strong roll early, that it would make sense to keep the weapon until later. So I've actually dissolved or disassembled, whatever it's called, a couple of really good rolls, and it wasn't until like where is let me find my inbox. I've started saving them where, like, especially like a plus Colossus or plus damage to Colossus, cold, where it's like a really good roll to Colossus with like a really strong element. I've been saving those for intercepts. Like Sigvor's Proof, attribute, status effect, trigger rate, weapon change speed, chill attack, weak point damage. I would need to re-roll the weapon change speed and probably attribute, status effect, trigger rate, but chill attack is almost maxed and weak point is almost maxed. So I was going to use this against the Pyro intercept boss, right? But I've started saving these, right? Like if it's a good combo, because I don't know if I'm going to need it later. Like this one, firearm attack, critical hit rate, Legion of Immorality, and firearm critical hit damage. If I'm running like a little dungeon, right? Like a little tiny raid against this faction or this legion, I guess, this would be a great weapon eventually to bring up to level 100. Because it costs the same to level this from like 33 to like 40 as it is to go from 33 to 100, right? So every time, like this one, Legion of Immorality, fire attack, critical hit rate, critical hit damage, is good for raw damage. Obviously, I kind of would have wanted like an element on here, but like this one, recoil, bonus firearm attack, Legion of Immorality, Legion of Darkness, weapon change speed. I just like the fact that it was all gold. And this one, Hero Scar, firearm critical hit rate, weak point damage, electric attack. That's a good combo. Recoil, I could roll to something else, but those three are really, really good for dealing with, obviously it would have to be weak to electric, but dealing with intercept bosses, right? Because generally the weapons have pretty low crit chance, like you want to get that shit bumped up. So I'll take this. But I've started saving these. You can see like level 10, that was when I went to like a lower level area and I was like farming like mods. And I got this one, but as I was going through, I've started collecting these, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be mods, and it's going to be purple weapons with rolls. Would make sense to me to be what's in the auction house. So if they do an auction house, it would be something like that, right? So I hope they do the auction house thing sensibly. For like in-game currency or something, kind of like what PoE does. Because there would literally be no fucking point in doing a cash auction house. Especially with a seasons setup that they want to do. No, it wouldn't make sense. Let people do that illegally, right? For like resources or something. Have something like super rare be the trading item. Like, say, the thing for relics, that sort of quote-unquote radiance them, that allows you to focus on something. Make it something like that, where you have to grind it out. Like, what was it? Torchlight Infinite. Use, like, these little red stones you could pick up. And that was the trading currency. They had, like, a low drop chance. But the higher level content you could do the drop chance went up. So if you were doing uh, like tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, blah blah blah, equivalent to maps and PoE, you could farm more. So you would then use the resource that you farmed to be able to buy other stuffs that would help people at lower levels accelerate or allow them to get other gear or roles that they wanted. So stuff like that. Like I hope they do something like that where it's like a resource. Maybe it could be the resources from the caches, right? So that would be something pretty good where it could also prevent people from whaling too hard. Like right now, I don't get it. I can understand complaining about the cost, but it's not pay to win. It's not pay to win. You can't buy power in the game except for the ultimates. You can't buy weapons. Not that you would need to, but you can't. You can't even buy rivens. Rivens are the only thing you can even look at in terms of buying power because it's so RNG heavy. But every mod that you could buy is something somebody else could just farm. Like you're not buying a chance to skip because the prime mods are like a guaranteed drop and everything else in Warframe has like a pretty decent drop rate. You're just paying to skip. You're literally playing to like it's a PvE game. You're literally paying to skip content. Like you're paying to not play the game. And that's fine. If people want to be dumb and do this, but that's on them, but it's not PvP, so there's no pay to win. Like there's no skin that has like a bonus or a skin that makes you harder to hit. There's no special weapons that you have to upgrade a shitload of times that are in PvP. Obviously, this game has that function where you build other ones. You can pay to skip the wait time, and it's expensive as fuck. That's up to you. But let's be honest, Warframe's wait times don't make any sense. Everybody here that listens to this has at least misclicked that expedite button one fucking time. And you felt like a dumbass. It feels like a stupid tax. Especially when I'm going through, I'm super guilty of it. I haven't done it too many times, but let me tell you, like, when I'm farming, like, resources, I don't, go figure in Warframe, right? When I'm farming, like, and I need specters, and I need, like, air supply drop, and I need, like, the serums, and I'm doing, like, a bunch of things at the same time, like, say, the dragon keys, and I'm going through that list, and I'm clicking, yes, make, yes, make. It's not unheard of to get to that last one and hit cancel or hit rush. Right? Like when you just get in the rhythm, like your brain starts to turn off when you're building like 50 things at once. Like your brain just turns off and you misclick it sometimes. It happens. Right? So this game has it, but let's be honest, you can farm up a Descendant way faster than you can in Warframe in terms of like in Foundry time. Like you've got like some pale woman here, like, and she like teleports it in or whatever the hell she's doing. But the build times are way more reasonable here. Right? Like that's why you see so many people and the thing is Warframe doesn't even put the time in line with people being able to play on the weekends. Well, here they can release an Ultimate Descendant on like a Wednesday, and you can have that if you get lucky with RNG, which is its own animal. But you can have that shit ready to go by the weekend. With the way Warframe works, the build time is what, 3.5 days? If you get everything instantly. So they'll release the frame on Wednesday or Thursday, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you'll get like half your weekend. So if it's on Thursday, well, you're not playing it that weekend. Wednesday, you can have it Sunday. Tuesday, you'll get it Saturday. And that's with perfect build times. and like instant drops, right? So the fact is that this is much more reasonable. Um, the reactors obviously are a bit of an issue. Um, I think they need to come down in price. Like you, if they want to go, because there is the added benefit of being able to swap weapons, right? Like your capacity stays even across everything. Um, the reactors are also functional, right? So like if you delete the weapon, you don't lose the catalyst, like in Warframe. And like the crystal or the crystallization catalyst and the reactor, whatever the fuck it's called, the butt plug looking thing. So it is what it is. It's different. Be knowledgeable of the beast. Ideally, I'm getting. You should probably be constantly farming those instead of running through and burning and doing quests. You should probably just naturally picking them up. So constantly pressing tab. I don't know. I think it's R3 on a controller. I remember looking at it, but I don't use a controller. So as you're running around and doing missions, you're just constantly grabbing them. And you're just going to always be building them. Because first off, you got a shitload of stuff to put them on. But two, it's probably going to be good to have a bank of those. And like, if we're Warframe, listen, as a community on the Warframe side of things, if we want to have the reputation of Warframe as being a grindy game, you cannot complain about this. It's either you're okay with this level of grind or you're a fucking bitch. Okay? 3% drop rate, a 1.5% drop rate. Are you really afraid of that? Clearly, large number average that shit. Jump around to a bunch of different things. Oh, well, I want my mod. Okay, then you know what the deal is. Why are you complaining? You can't go into a mission that takes 10 minutes with a 1% drop rate and then be surprised when it takes you 200 runs. Okay? I have heard some insane numbers to the point where I know the fucking person's lying. Oh, I did 200 runs of this one raid, right? Like I grinded it out and I finally got it. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would you do that and then complain that you don't enjoy the game? You're choosing to do the unenjoyable thing. Go do something else. The best way to play these games is to sprinkle and jump around and do like 20 different things. I've picked up the red mods for shit I don't even play yet. Right? Just jumping around, doing random stuff. Oh, this person wants to go over here. We're in a party. Cool. Yeah, no, let's go do that, dude. Right? Like, oh, you know, you want to try farming this? Yeah, let's go do 4 or 5 runs. Cool, yeah. Hey, listen, I need some of this resource. Okay, let's go to this area. We'll run some missions. And then we'll do a full lap around, the area. We'll do one and everything. Oh, you need the parts to be able to summon the dude in. You need the resources for that. Yeah. Listen, I know a spot that's pretty chill. You got an electric frame, like you're on Bunny right now. There's a coal. They're on like Freya or some shit like that. Oh, I know the spot, dude. Something where we can really burn through it. Oh, cool. Let's go do 20, 30 runs there because you basically nuke everything. Listen, you need to bounce from place to place. Give everything a shot a couple times a day because you're going to fucking hate this game if you try to focus farm. Okay, Nexon is Nexon. They're gonna punish you for it. You're gonna hate it. It's not Warframe where you can stay in a single mission for like as long as you want. Okay? And Warframe hates players that do that. They're actively punishing them with like unjust suspensions and shit like that. Okay? You need to bounce from mission to mission. Do it like 4 or 5 times. Like, once I finish this, I'm going to start uploading the video, and I'm going to go do the Ajax augment, or whatever the hell they're called. The Ajax augment. I'm going to go do 2 run of each location that I can, because I don't have hard mode yet. And I'm going to do 2 runs of the bunny locations that I have access to. And I'm just going to go see how the RNG behaves today. Because more importantly, there's still other mods I need to get. Where it's like a 10%, 20%, 30% drop chance, or it's like a mission monster or something. I'm going to go farm an area that has the mission monster drops. And then I'm going to pull RNG on every string I can grab in that area. But I'm going to go focus on the mission monster drops. And then I'll do the RNG from other areas. And I'll remain sane the entire time. Don't focus farm the same thing. Because you're ruining the game for yourself. I mean, this is turning into a rant, but it's just... The people that I hear complaining want this to be Warframe or they want this to be Destiny 2. And it's neither. The developer pulled from the DE please threads, Bungie please threads, and tried to give the community exactly what it wanted. And I can't help but notice people complaining about some of that stuff. And let me tell you, you either justify the company's fucking ignoring you, because, oh, you get what you wanted, surprise you don't fucking like it. That encourages and makes them try to marginalize your opinion. And it justifies DE treating veterans as somebody they don't need to listen to. Or the mob rule. Like, you're justifying being treated like children and getting blown off. If you get the shit that you like, you want a harder game, and all of a sudden you don't like harder, then you're justifying Warframe getting dumbed down. Okay? I wanted Warframe to be harder. This game is harder than Warframe. I enjoy this. But people, they're saying like, oh yeah, no, Warframe needs to be harder. Listen, you've got a 60% fill-in-the-blank Kuva Tenet weapon, or you're running 3 Incarnon weapons. You haven't unequipped the Inadem in a year. And you want to complain about the game being easy. You haven't, taken off the Felarks or the Fenmore in a year. You've had the same loadout. You're running Revenant with a Fenmore, an Inadem, and a Praetos for movement speed and parkour. And that's been your loadout for all of the level caps that you've done. And you haven't unequipped that full loadout in like a year. I don't want to hear you talking about how easy it is. You made it easy. You have succeeded. This is harder. Anybody can get one shot. And to be honest, I like it. Like the last boss that I did, I forget which one it was. It was the one with obviously the orbs, right? This guy had 6 orbs. Except he had a sniper. And I didn't know to pay attention for something, but he lined up a sniper shot. And I'm trying to zip around, so I'm thinking, oh, I gotta move faster. Like, I gotta speed tank this. Nope. I got one-tapped. So what happened? I learned to count. It's almost guaranteed to hit you, but if you time it just right, you can roll out of the way. Like dodge roll, right? I had to get better. It was a nice little addition. The game is preparing you for the harder stages or where they're going to scale later. You're gonna have shots in this game that if you don't notice them are probably going to be one-tap kills. You're going to have enemies that will tether to you and turn your abilities off. You're going to have enemies that make an unlimited number of enemies immune to damage, provided they are close enough. You're going to have to know how to either spam AoEs or you're going to have to know how to prioritize a target depending on what your loadout is. So it's different. It's time to adapt, but it's pretty good. I've enjoyed it. Um, Characters are high quality. The gameplay is on par with Warframe. Obviously, the movement isn't Warframe, and let's be honest, nothing ever will be. The grappling hook is a nice touch. I like it. It's different. And there's like a little bit of tech to it, right? Like you can improve how you swing through stuff. How you can get like basically 2.5 or 3 grappling hooks out of a single swing, right? There's ways to make it work. So there's a little bit of tech on everything. It's not brain dead. Like there's no like Ajax is the closest thing to like a rhino, right? He's literally got horns like a bull. But even then, before I started upgrading, when I got to Pyromancer, I was on Ajax, Ajax Ultimate. Went into Pyromancer, and he was like, "That sucks. You're dead." And I looked at my build, and I was like, "Damn, that was pretty surprising." And you know what I had forgotten? I left the chill attribute resist on. I wasn't modded correctly. The game punished me for it. I had to go and change and adapt. I went and looked up what on the little screen that they got. I saw what he was weak to. I adjusted all my builds, or all my weapons, and I just dealt with it. Right? I had to adapt. The game isn't gonna, you know, it's not gonna easily let you pass, especially if you're powering up the first time. It's not gonna easily let you pass specific gate marks. Like Pyromancer really is. I think the guy said it best. I think Pyromancer is really the first interception boss where they make you. You can't run like a fuckboy mod setup. Like you have to have some upgraded mods. You don't have to be crazy with it, but you have to have some stuff upgraded. You kind of got to be modded correctly, or you have to have some combo going on that gives you the damage to be able to kill him. So it's just, I like it. I wish 1,000% Warframe has this shit in here, or it had the interception bosses. But what happened? They came out with the Forgotten One, or whatever the fuck it was called, that thing that they had an event over. And what happened? Within 2 days, people were already damage capping it. Now, granted, it was a visual bug, but people were already fucking damage capping the damn thing. This game doesn't have the power scaling issues, and it's never going to, that Warframe does. It's never going to have the issues because the mods are insanely weak compared to Warframe, and most of the power from a weapon comes from the levels. Right? So you have like Destiny with its eye levels, or its light level, not eye level. World of Warcraft has eye level. Warframe doesn't. All the power comes from the mod. Now, obviously, there's base damage differences. Like, obviously, a Braum is going to do more than a Mark 1 Bratton. But so much of the power comes from the item's levels itself. It's just going to be easier to balance, because you know what every level everybody's going to be at, give or take. Especially on the intercepts. Like, the average person doing the intercept, especially when the game was new, was strong enough to be at the intercept. You didn't have this thing where you have later game players coming back to Dead Bride and two-shotting the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to pop relics. So it is what it is. The game's good, but just reality check on what to expect. It is like Warframe. It is not Warframe. You're either going to appreciate it for what it is, but seriously, I don't want to hear anything about this whole grinding thing. I mean, be self-respective. I'm not lecturing you on it. But if you mentally claim Warframe as a grindy game, then you basically have to admit that you're into this, or at least interested in it. But to say this game is too grindy, I've already seen people that are in the mid to upper MR20s And that was over the weekend. Okay, it's Monday. Like, there are people that have probably maxed everything by now. And now they have nothing to do except farm mods if they don't have that shit already, too. There are levels to this, and I'm just enjoying being a slowpoke right now. I haven't even gotten to hard mode. Maybe like today or tomorrow, I'll finish the quest line. But I know people that did the quest line, got to hard mode, and realized their meme bunny build couldn't stand up, and then they were just like, oh, I don't want a mod to fix the issue. And now they're like back on Warframe. And I really don't mean this as like being an elitist or anything like this. But if you claim to like high level content in Warframe, what does that really mean? Oh, it has to be high level content? You want to say you're somebody that does high level content, but you don't want to mod correctly? Come on. You want somebody to do the mental work for you, give you the correct setup, and then you want to go do the content and just... You want to be the kid playing the controller next to his dad. Come on now. Like, at least experiment. You know, figure out what you're missing. This game gives you so goddamn much. Like, the resources you have access to on this game. Bro, just look at... Hold on, where is it? Bro, it's all the modules. Right? Like hold on. No, okay. Blair, Classic Chief. I've never seen this mod before. Oh man, where do I get it? I click on the mod, I press F. Oh, it's a hard mode mod. And it literally tells you where to go. Let's see if I can find one. Hard. A lot of these are hard mode. Oh, okay, look at this. So, Defense Master, this is one I need. I know I need this one. This is going to be one of the ones I do a run-through on. Sterile Land, Normal, Kuiper Factory. Oh my god, it literally brings the mission up for you. I am 100% sure somebody is going to make one, but you almost don't need a wiki for this. And then when I get here, I can press X, and it'll fucking tag it. So when I get into the area, it'll automatically highlight it. How much more helpful can you get? Like, how helpful can you get? So just experiment, test. I'm hearing some complaints from people that are, like, I've done level caps with, and they're like, oh, it's boring. And I'm like, what's boring about it? Like, literally the entire thing's new. Like, I'm not trying to be like the old man, but it's like the hypocrisy isn't lost on me. So enjoy the game. Like, take a lighthearted approach to it. Enjoy being free to play. Besides, they give you all of the resources to max a Descendant. And they give you, like, what, 3 crystallizing catalysts for your first quest run through? That is enough to fully build out a bunny or a starter Descendant. And you can just solo that shit till endgame. And all you need to do to level up is you get, like, the one main weapon that they give you, the Thunder Cage. You max that shit out. And you just level the other 2 weapons as you're going. Just passively level. When it gets to, like, level or proficiency 10, proficiency 15, just pick up another one and just dump that. Just let that passively level. And you'll, besides leveling a Descendant from like 0 to 40, is like the first 5 MRs. So, it is what it is. Like, this isn't that big of a deal, but it's just you can't treat it like Warframe where there's a million fucking guides. Give it a fair chance. They're very clearly listening. But this is also Nexon on the monetization. If you want to be wary about spending money because Nexon has a history that is well earned, that is up to you. I said on stream the other day, if I get a year out of this game, I am comfortable with what my expenditure is, provided I get a year. Now, if they dump this game in like 4 months, I'm going to be a little pissed. But that's my choice. But if I get a year out of it, I have spent an amount of money that I'm comfortable spending on something that I get a year out of. And besides, if Digital Extremes was fucking smart, you know what they would have done? Dropped a fucking update on this shit's release date. What do you think happened with World of Warcraft? That was one of the I'm drawing a blank. That was one of the tactics they used. There we go. Anytime a competitor came out, or a competitor got a massive release, well, wouldn't you know it? Some fill-in-the-blank expansion for World of Warcraft's coming out. Right? Like, Dark and Darker, Elder Scrolls. You can track what MMOs were coming out, and you'll be surprised that the biggest competitors probably had a World of Warcraft update dropped on top of their head. Warframe and Destiny, if they wanted to kill this game and make sure it stayed dead, they would have dropped a fucking update. But they didn't. Warframe's got us sitting in a fucking elevator right now. And Destiny 2, I don't know what's going on over there. But Warframe right now has us sitting in a fucking elevator. And we haven't... we had the Entrati Labs, and it was like a 4-hour quest line in the past like 8 months. That's what we've had with Warframe. So this competitor gets the slot right in. If Warframe and Destiny 2 want to give this game a chance to be a competitor instead of having basically 50% of the market, each of them more or less, obviously Destiny's bigger in terms of money, but I think Warframe has more players. I keep seeing, and I'm pretty sure the number's wrong, but I keep seeing, including console, Warframe has 500,000 players active a day. Because obviously we can only see Steam numbers, right? And Destiny, I think, is big on consoles, but we don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But the big thing is if Warframe isn't... I would assume right now Warframe might be a third the size of Destiny now that I think about it. But the issue is going to be is it's clearly going to sling in Warframe's favor once you start counting cell phones. Because as soon as that shit gets released in China, if it takes off, it will blow up. Right? If it takes off, like what does China have right now? 500 million cell phone users? China has more cell phone users than the US has people. And what, if 1% of them pick it up? Come on now. Destiny can't go to cell phones, but Warframe somehow managed to. If 1% of the cell phone users download a game, if 0.5% download a game, that's hundreds of thousands of people. So we'll see how it goes. Because once the cell phones in China get up and running, and China really gets a hold of, or the Warframe really gets a hold of the cell phone market over there, I think it's going to be a game changer, and all the PC and console players will just be fucking irrelevant. Because the Chinese monetization is closer to this game than you really want to admit. Not saying it's all of this, like an Exxon monetization, but like everybody's used to the Americas and the European monetization. China's got worse monetization. It's not garbage, but it is worse. It's closer to this than you want to think. Like, what is it, like resource boosters? Or the boosters are like missions instead of time and day. So it is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna end this. Good game. And to the people complaining, just be self-reflective about what you're saying. Okay? If you're a late game player and you find this too much of a grind, I hope that means like you're getting tired of Warframe also. I get it. Warframe has very boring grinds. The Jade update, if you can even call it an update, it was like a mission and like a quest that was like a couple hours. Or not even a couple hours, wasn't it like an hour? You spent more time on an elevator than playing the quest. The one thing that was interesting about it was the loot cave, which immediately turned everything into zero value. I still don't know why they got rid of the loot cave. Because it didn't affect the arcane drop. Unless I'm missing some bug. It was just you were getting a shit ton of mods. And credits. Like, people were literally spending hours farming that. Farming something that was worth nothing. Because it was enjoyable. It felt like you were getting away with something. And that's exactly what it was. But instead of DE playing into something that the community really fucking enjoyed, they crushed it. And I get that. Not wanting to play that game where you feel like the developer is trying to control you. Hey, don't have too much fun. Right? Like, that doesn't even make sense. They have to realize they can lose people, and that's one of the things I'm hopeful about the First Descendant. I don't know if they will. I am 100%, I am almost 100% sure Nexon's going to fuck this up somehow. But I hope they learn quick, and they learn that the market for who their competitors are, though incredibly established, they have gotten lazy. Right? I mean, obviously, Bungie put out a better quest line, a better update for the most recent one. But they've had some bad releases. They've had some mid shit coming out of there. And Warframe does really good mainline quest updates, but they're way too far apart. They don't want to do it, and they're trying to do this Soulframe shit. Hopefully that shit takes off. It's good to know where all of the plat money's going to, if it's not going back into Warframe. So I'm just saying, I'm interested to see what the dynamic is. This game right now, if I were to be 100% optimistic, this game is mid at best. But it's a very hopeful mid. It's a team that doesn't do these kinds of games taking a crack at it. They're going to learn to balance stuff out. Maybe they want to up the graphics quality a little bit. Please, God, don't. Listen, I've got a 12900K and a 2080 Titan. And my GPU on low settings is sitting at 80%. So, it is what it is. And especially the shader thing that happened when it first started, or when the game first came out, where it would max your CPU. Bro, I have never in my life seen 24 cores max out, and my CPU literally thermal throttled. Literally went to 100 degrees Celsius. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I let it do its thing for 5 minutes, and then it went back down to 40%. Cool. That was a little terrifying, but now the shaders compile in like, what, 5 seconds? They fixed the issue in a fucking week. Now, obviously, they had tons of motivation too, but they moved this fast. Railjack still isn't flawless in Warframe. They dropped that pile of shit and then went on vacation. They knew exactly what they fucking released. And this developer has already shown that they're willing to work on stuff. At least they're willing to when they're motivated. But DE in the past has dropped some turds also. And the game has improved in a week. Has already improved. And you can't really say that about, Warframe. They're either going to update, they're going to do hot fixes, and they'll put out like a ton of hot fixes real quick, but you're not seeing an update every week. Not that this game's been out long enough to really compare over longevity. This is just shooting the shit right now. But it is what it is. Rant over. Just, guys, try to play the game the way it wants you to play it. It's significantly more enjoyable. Run missions, talk with people. For the love of God, stop running a late game. You got 2 months to fucking get there. I would say a month and a half. Okay, because obviously you're going to want to farm at the end. I get it. But this Nexon will torture your balls if you want to skip progression, skip wait times. You look at your wallet and you think about what that's going to cost you. Listen, I bought 3 ultimates. Okay, so I'm at $300. And it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm not going to not be able to pay a bill. I figured out what I could spend, what I wanted to spend, and those numbers weren't the same. What I wanted to spend was drastically less than what I could afford. So it was an easy yes. But not everybody's in that situation. If you need a game to be cheap, listen, Warframe's a cheap game. Let's be honest. You do not have to put money into it. But this game, super high quality characters. In terms of like pixels and shit like that, the characters look great. I think they need to work out the cosmetics. But right now, the characters aren't built for cosmetics. Right? We got this stupid shit on the front. It's like under her tit or something like that. We got the little back piece. We got the helmet. We got the body, whatever the hell it is, the suit. And that's kind of it. So like what? It's like 5 things. Oh, and the hold on. And this thing, the little teleport. Right? That's the other one. So that's what our current cosmetics are. So just be careful. Spend within your means, for the love of God. I mean, though most people that listen to this channel, especially 2 hours into a rant video, obviously don't need to be told that. But just keep in mind, this is an Exxon game. This is an Exxon game. And maybe that might be one of the issues. Oh, there's a little echo over here. I'll pick this up in a minute. But like this stuff, I like this. I didn't even see this little echo over here. I mean, who the hell comes down over here? What is it? You spawn in here? Yeah, you're fucking standing in front of it. Okay. But they've got like random little shit everywhere. I love this. Like every time I see one, I go over and listen to it, and I listen to the entire thing. I don't skip it. You know, I soak in, like, this is the time to enjoy the game, do all the like the random stuff. Don't hard farm it. Right? Don't focus farm on like level cap. And you can say, oh, well, that's the content I like. Then you can do level cap content anywhere, and you're just going to burn out. Right? Like, there'll be nothing for you to do if this other stuff is boring to you. Like, anybody can power farm. Now, it was kind of cool. The only thing that I would say would be an exception to that is if you really, really like the world first grind. If that's your thing, you want to get to the hardest boss the fastest, and that's your thing, and then you'll go play the game, that's different. But if you just want to get to hard mode, like, what's the point of that? Right? Like, there's the world first, and then you get like 1, 2, and 3, and then everybody should just drop it and go enjoy the game. Right? Like, that's what you should be doing. If you want to do the late game thing, but it's already been done, I'm pretty sure. So, just chill. The world first has been done. It is what it is. So just enjoy the game. This game, I wouldn't say lots, but this game does have a decent bit to offer. Enjoy it. You don't have to be a lore nerd, but just, they clearly put effort into some stuff. You can see it's a little bit repetitive as we look at the same fucking support everywhere. But like, the mountain's nice, and whatever the hell this thing is, I don't know, man. Whatever the hell this thing is. It's got a bunch of pipes, but it looks nice. I'm guessing an AI did this. I don't think it's sculpted. So, it is what it is. And one bunny's ass for you guys. There you go. But anyway, dudes. Thanks for hanging out. If you made it this far, tell me how you guys are liking it. Because I'm enjoying it. But it's just, I've been hearing a lot of people trash it for like no reason. It doesn't make any sense. Just, this isn't Warframe. This isn't Destiny. They pulled heavily from what the community wanted. And if people are complaining about it, then it justifies Destiny and Warframe not listening to you in the first place. That's pretty dumb place to be at. It's like, oh, they were right for not paying attention to me, and I meant that shit so much before. It's like, okay, this game gave you what you wanted and you fucking hated it. At least give it a chance. Play it. Enjoy it. It's got a lot of shit in here that the games we came from are refusing to do for us. These people are trying. So, but it still is Nexon. Just keep that in mind. Nexon is Nexon. They've got some nasty tendencies, and monetization is going to be one. This company is the company that has the patent on adjusting RNG on the fly. So keep that in mind. Okay, so if you hard grind something, we don't know, we won't know if that system's in this game. It's why I'm recommending grazing so much. One, it helps with the large number average. There's nothing the game won't detect that you're trying to hard grind something. There's no loot boxes in this game, but please, for the love of God, don't give them the ideas. But before, with that RNG manipulation, it was for like a box of Maple Story. It doesn't matter. People were trying to farm a power up. Long story short, in a dramatically oversimplified way. There was one thing in the box that they wanted, so they RNG dropped the drop chance to like 0.3 or 4 zeros 1%. And they made like 400 million over like a decade or something insane like that off of this box because people were trying to farm this and nobody got it. Or if they did, it was like one or two people. So keep in mind that is the animal we're dealing with. Just the same way with Digital Extremes and Bungie. They have tendencies too. Bungie looks like it's trying. We'll see about DE. We're still doing with the new regime. We don't know what their tolerance is for it. But anyway, give the game a chance. That's all I can say. Especially if you're in the Warframe group. This is a nice change of pace. It is not Warframe, though. It's not Warframe 2 Descendant Edition. But anyway, later, dudes. I'm going to upload this and I'm going to stream a little bit. So, take it easy. Thank you guys for listening. Have a blessed day. I hope y'all are enjoying the game, or at least getting a nice break from the game that you guys were playing. Take it easy. Later.